Welcome everyone. Corporate level strategies. This is what we will be talking about in today's presentation. The viable alternatives that is there. Yes, let us have a look for the next half an hour of this particular presentation. Remember, we will be talking about the various aspects and probably pinpoint on the three aspects of the corporate strategies. Probably looking into the directionals of the strategies, the stability of the strategies, the retrenchment strategies. So one is a growth strategies, one is maintenance of the company's lead, and what happens when things are not going in favor of the company, the retrenchment strategies thereof. Understand the differences between the vertical and the horizontal growth. uh, why we are talking about horizontal and vertical. Horizontal on the flatter end on the same level, and vertical will be we are going either backward integration or forward integrations. So we will be talking about those things. Probably we'll talk about conglomerate diversification and concentric diversification. What are the brief ways or ways to enter into a new geographical locations with your company's products? So that's I'm talking in broadly speaking in a foreign countries. Apply the portfolio analysis, and that is what we'll be talking. So yes, we are into corporate strategies. Remember, corporate strategy is an overall choice of the firms as a whole. The top management, what does it thinks with their products, with their portfolios, with their concerns, with their vision, and that comprises corporate strategies. It exactly defines where the company is viewing itself in some point of time, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. That is what the corporate strategy is all about. It corporate strategies will determine the direction of the firm's growth in a larger period of time. So we will have two kind of things. One is a directional strategies, the firm's overall orientations toward growth, stability or retrenchment. That is one point that we need to talk around it. And the next is of portfolio analysis, is the industry or the market in which the firm competes through its products and business units. How do we go around it? The portfolio analysis, industry markets in which the firms compete, definitely yes. We are looking into are we going to be in a niche market and niche industry? Are we going to change the industries? Or are we going to enlarge the industry, the gambit of product that we are looking into it? That is what will be the portfolio strategy. So remember, the directional strategy is overall growth or the path that the company wants to make or make an imprint upon it. When portfolio analysis is talking about its products and services, the industry specific, as the case might be. Then we have the parenting strategies. Now, remember, every company, every individual for that matter, has a certain style of operation. And why does this certain style of operation dominates? Because this is based on certain principles, ethos, or standards, or whatever you want to call it out. So, it basically, when the management coordinates activities and transfer resources, cultivates among the product line and the business units. Remember these ethos, these principles, what will be the guiding forces for the companies to operate in a larger spectrum of time. So that is what the parenting strategy is all about. It will determine the growth thereby. So talking about the corporate directional strategies is we are talking about concentrating. Remember, this is the premises of this particular presentation, and we are going through a very giving you a short glimpse of various strategies that has been employed in the industry. So one is growth strategies, which is concentration. It might be vertical growth. This is what will be vertical growth in forward integration or backward integration, or horizontal growth, which is like this. In a horizontal integrations, we are making at least something common. It might be the same industries or the same audiences or the clients that I'm talking about. And then we have a diversification, which will be concentric, altogether concentric, or a conglomerate. A lot of conglomerate out there, different products, different portals, different vertical, different industries. So that's a conglomerate diversification that comes around it. But this is all about the growth phase. And when we go around the growth phase, remember, this is how the company is growing, and then there is a plateau. This plateau is called stability stage. This is what we are looking at it. So if it is making enough cash for your operations, do you pause, proceed with caution, no change, profit? What do you do? That the stability stage comes around it. But when a company grows like this, and then there is a stability, and eventually if you don't do something good, either it should go up or it should decline. And this is what we are talking about, the retrenchment stage. Now, turn around. Did I say the company grows this, then goes a plateau, and then it has to go around it? If you are not making a turnaround, this is what we are talking around it. Turn around is when the company is declining, and then you pull down your socks and probably apply your things with full vigor. You actually see profitability, you actually see the company becoming much more leaner, much more capable, and so on and so forth. So captive companies, sell out, divestment, bankruptcy, and liquidation that happens around here. That is what we are looking forward to, as in growth, stability, and retrenchments are concerned. Remember, growth strategy is basically to expand the company's activities. Definitely, yes. Stability strategies make no change to the company's activities. Retrenchment strategies reduces the company level of activities thereby. This is very important for you to understand, is what the retrenchment strategies would be all about it. So growth activities, how do we go around it? We can have an organic growth. Organic is and an inorganic growth. So organic growth is where you actually grow on your own. Probably you deploy your cash, where you deploy your capabilities, deploy your competencies, deploy your network, and start growing on your own. But the most faster methods is having an inorganic growth. Inorganic growth are of two types. Basically mergers, wherein there's a transaction between two or more corporations, in which probably there's a mutual exchange of stocks, and as a result what happens, they amalgamate into a one entity or one organization or one corporation that's been done. Or the other way around, might be a little bit on a hostile nature. Remember, merger is maybe friendly, maybe unfriendly, but there is some sort of acceptance. But in acquisition, you actually outright purchase the company with all your financial powers, right? So that's an acquisition. So herein, when you actually acquire a company, the acquired company might not be willing, but probably does not have an options other than to liquidate itself. So we have these two inorganic strategies of growth, which is mergers and acquisition that comes around here. So vertical growth achieved by taking over a function previously provided by a supplier. So basically, if you have a business of into college, let's say you run a few colleges, right? So what will the extension would be? A vertical growth would be you start opening up a school. So from schools, probably the undergrad they take participates or they take admissions from the undergraduate thing. So that would be a absolutely downline, if I want to say. You have a business, you go into downline, a vertical things. But what with an upline? Probably you open up new companies wherein the graduates from your colleges can be absorbed in your industry or in a company altogether. So it's an upline that coming around it. Remember, I'm just giving you a proxy situation for you to understand as far the vertical growth is concerned. So vertical integration is to degree by which the company operates vertically in multiple locations. Remember, the industry value chain from an extracting raw materials to manufacturing or retailing, as the case might be, the degree to which a firm operates vertically in multiple locations, an industry value chain from extracting new raw materials to manufacturing to retailing. As I said, your college, your school, and your corporate body that comes around it. It's a vertical integration that comes around it. So I have already glorified you with an example of the as a college operation and the backward being the school and the forward being the corporate body. So backward integration is assuming a function previously provided by your supplier. So in a college, your students actually used to have a school qualification. Now, if you can open up a school by all yourself, the admission, you have a ready-made clients or ready-made customers who are going to take admission in your college. Probably, right? There is always a chances that they will continue with the same organization. But what happens? The forward integration is assuming a function previously provided by a distributor. So, as in a college, as in a professional college, you are expected that the products of your college would be actually been observed in an industry. What better way to, if you have an industry in yourself, company in yourself, corporate bodies in yourself, where you can actually observe the best of the students, right? So you are not in dearth of good employees, you are not in dearth of a good students for a college. The college business becomes absolutely stable thereby. So that is what the difference between backward and forward integration is all about it. So let us understand the vertical integration, the transaction cost economy. Now, if you remember it, the raw materials and things like that, the finished products get consumed automatically, and you get the best of the raw material and the best of the finished products. Either in terms of a corporate, you get the best of the students for your company because you've actually seen that student performing in your colleges or perhaps in their school for last a decade or so, something like that, if they have continued with the schools and colleges. So you are very much assured about the quality of the person that has been observed in your company. So transaction cost becomes much more efficient. Then contracting for goods and services in the marketplace, when the transaction cost of buying on an open market also become very great as the result might be. So yes, vertical integration container is what we look into it. There is a full integration, there's a taper integration, the quasi integration, and the long-term contract that we goes around it. So remember about what we said about the colleges, schools, and things. So there can be full integration. It can be tapered wise, but stepwise. Basically, it can be in between. So I can have a partnership with the corporate bodies. I can have partnership, right? So we can have a joint ventures with them, or I might have an investment in their companies, or I might partner with the schools, and so on and so forth. There's a quasi integration and a long-term contract. Probably we are looking for a understanding on a longer term. It might be written, it might not be written the way you want to go around it. So this means complete commitment, and this is on a lesser commitment, but definitely this is what we are looking at it as a vertical integration continuum is concerned. So vertical integration, there's a full integration. A firm internally makes 100% of its key supplies and completely control its distribution. As I have said, it will be complete 100% control. Whereas taper integration produces less than the half of its own requirement, definitely yes, and buys the rest from the vendors or the suppliers or the partners of the organization that has been done. So it's a taper integration. It's half baked kind scenario. Whereas a quasi integration is a company does not make any of its suppliers but amalgamate it all together by themselves. That is what we are looking into it. Purchases most of the requirement from the outside that are under its partial control. Why partial control? Is because of the money power that comes around it. They might be purchasing in the raw materials, they might be getting a good credit for it. They are keeping the business afloat altogether. Probably in all possibilities, they might be the largest client of this company. So that's a quasi integration that we're talking about it. Long term contract is an agreement between two firms to provide agreed upon goods, services to each other for a specific period of time. And this is what the longer term integration is all about it. Concentration integrations is what we talk about the horizontal growth, expansion of operations into other geographic location, or increasing the range of products and services offered to the current market as the case might be. Yes, expansion helps us a lot. Horizontal integration, the degree to which a firm operates in a multiple geographic location at the same point of an industry value chain. Now, this is what we are looking forward to. Please remember how to go about it. Now, with this, if there is horizontal expansion, now what is horizontal expansion? That means in country A, or let's say in location A, I'm doing a wonderful business. Now, my idea is I will continue to doing this business only, but in location B also, or location C also, or country C or country D. So it's a geographic location wherein I increase the range of products. So that would be in horizontal growth. Remember, my number of audiences, number of customers, number of markets increases. I am not changing in the operations of my company as such. Now, what is horizontal integration? To degree which the firm operates in a multiple location. So one location, let's say location A is wholly owned by me. Location B, I might be actually be owning few of my stores or few of my outlets, and rest I'll give it to somebody else to manage it. In company C or country C or location C, it might be completely between a joint ventures between me and a company who is actually looking up to the products of the market, and there is a profit sharing methodology that comes around it. So that is what the horizontal integration would be all about it. So I hope everybody can differentiate between horizontal growth and horizontal integration. Now, this is where I bring in the concepts of international entry. When I say into different location, can we go into different countries altogether? Now, how do we go about it? I can do simple thing is exporting. One of the simple thing, I manufacture in one company and start exporting it to the other country altogether, and let them handle. And if there is a demand, they will be automatically will be consumed. The next thing is what I can do is licensing. Now this is where what I do is not only I manufacture in my country, but probably I also start manufacturing in a different country under a licensing agreement wherein my product will be produced by somebody else on behalf of me. So that's what licensing would be all about. It franchising is nothing wherein I will say no, I'm not going to produce anything out there. Absolutely nobody is going to produce on my behalf. But yes, what I'm going to do is I will give you the technologies, I will give you the know-how, I will have a complete agreement with you. You have to do the productions, you have to do the marketing, you have to do everything on your own. I will give you the major role, on basis of which I will take charge a royalty, a part payment of whatever your profit comes around it as a franchisee fee. Then there is something called joint ventures where I'll put in 50-50 in terms of my investment, and you put in 50-50. So the risk is also 50-50 between both of the companies. And if both of the companies are confident about the operations, it will be a completely successful venture. So these are the major reasons goes around it. Now, if you look into it, my changing of the boxes have been increasingly changed. Now, this is where we go till we become a wholly owned companies as such. So one is the acquisition. Now, in this scenario, we are actually acquiring a company offshores, right? And probably then start operating, working around it. Then there's a greenfield development wherein we don't acquire any companies, but we probably set up our own facilities out there on a smaller level so that we can try and test the market. Then there's something called production sharing, wherein I utilize the premises of somebody else's company and start producing my product. I might be paying a rental, I might be paying some kind of monetary benefit that has been actually agreed upon. Then there is a TKO or turnkey operation, wherein I install the product completely out there. Absolutely, I install the product. Now, this installation can be done by me or can be done by different else, and probably the technology has been provided by me. Everything, the whole support has been provided. They just have to turn the key to make it an operational and viable. So absolutely, the investment being it will be from the company themselves. I will just give the technical know-hows, and they will empanel it and get it forward. So that is how we are looking into it. Now, BOT concept is build, operate, and transfer concept, wherein I build the product, I operate the product over a period of time, and transfer the product eventually to somebody else. And then there's something called a management contract that comes around it, something wherein you do all your businesses, but I will give you all my expertise as far as operations are concerned, and for which I will take a management contract. So these are the international entry operations for the horizontal growth, as the case might be. Yes. So we have the concentric diversification, growth in a related industry where a firm has basically a very strong position, but the awareness is low probably, or their demand is not very high. Synergy is the concept between two businesses, definitely who are willing, who know their modus operandi, and they're confident to generate more profit together than probably they could have done it on their own. Diversification strategies is a conglomerate. Now, this is conglomerate which is unrelated. So, I am in a hospitality industry. I start up let's say, in a fast-moving consumer good. I set up something called manufacturing of soap or shampoos or something like that. So those are two different industry altogether. Remember, in hospitality industry, I might be into a five-star hotels category or a two-star hotel category. The audience are completely different. The retail outlet for a soap or a shampoo would be completely different altogether. Management realizes the current industry becomes unattractive. Why going for conglomerate things? Because it wants to share the risk. Firms lack understanding, abilities, and skill that could easily transfer to related products or services in other industries, as the case might be. And this is what we are actually looking forward to it. So, controversies, is vertical growth better than the horizontal growth? This you need to tell me. You have to ask yourself, if I become in the same industry, I am in industry A, let's say textile industry, and now I am producing textiles only, nothing else, but in location A, location B, and location C. That's what's the horizontal growth. But what will happen in terms of a vertical growth? If I'm a textile industry, should I own up a firm which is producing cottons as a farmland? How do we go around it? Now you tell me. It's these are the questions that I'm posing to you as an audience, and you let me know what exactly should be the opinion. Should is concentration better, or is diversification better? Or should I say concentrated diversification better, or conglomerate diversification better? You need to tell it to yourself for better understanding of these concepts as far as the directional strategies are concerned. Remember, directional strategies are growth strategies that we are looking into. Now we come to the plateauing part of the PLC, product life cycle, or the company life cycle are concerned. The stability strategy. Now, one way to do around it, which I love, if everything is going good, why change a thing? That's a pause and proceed strategy. When opportunity to rest for continuing to growth or retrenchment strategies, as the case might be. Then there is something called no change strategies, decision to do nothing new, a choice to continue current operation, and policies for foreseeable futures, as the case might be. That is a decisions to do nothing absolutely there. Then there is something called profit strategies, decisions to do nothing in a worsening situation, but instead to act as though the company's elements are there missing out there. This is what we are looking into it. As in profit strategies, let the cash be coming in. If we have the things, let the cash goes around it. Let the well-oiled operations continue to function as if there are any no issues around it, and let why rock the boat when the boat is doing fine by itself? It's a stability strategy. Now we'll talk about the retrenchment strategies. Remember, we spoke about the growth strategy, the stability strategy, and what happens when things are going wrong. Now, this is where the company is losing a position in the market share, where there is a weak competitive positions, or probably there is been marred by poor performance of the company, as the case might be. This is what we need to understand as a retrenchment strategies is concerned. So there are something called turnaround strategies, contraction and consolidation. Now, what is turnaround strategies? Now, things are bleeding, things are not going in favor of the company. So what do we go about it? We go about in operational efficiencies. We are looking at reducing the cost. We are ensuring that the problems that has been facing can be iron out those problems, can we mitigate those problems one by one, which are pervasive but are not critical. Then there is something called contraction, efforts to quickly stop the bleeding across the board, both in size and in cost. Now, in terms of size, what probably if you think the company has grown too big, it's been unmanageable, cut it out, sell it out. So sell those non-core business altogether. Contraction, probably that's one of the thing. Or you have to reduce the cost, whatever the cost reduction strategies needs to be going around it. If there is a high inventory, please reduce those. If you think you have encountered a lot of manpower cost, please reduce those. Now these are the contraction. If you have exposed yourself to a lot many market, consolidate those market, absolutely concentrate on only of the few markets. So this is what contraction is all about it. Then comes the consolidation stages, wherein the stabilization of the leaner, newer companies or corporation is going to go around it. Now, once things have comes around, we are talking about retrenchment. Remember, one things have been, you might be bleeding billions of rupees. Now you are billing few hundred thousand dollars. So billions of dollars and few $100,000, and probably then make it very leaner and make much more profitable in terms of $100,000 and few $100,000, few $1 million, and so on. So that comes around it. That is what we are talking about. Consolidation is all about here. There is the retrenchment strategies. Now, this is where the captive company strategy comes into place. But what happens is the company gives up independent in exchange for a security. So it might be going into for a financial reconstruction. So it gives up the immunity as such, and probably takes up a loan, but in a proper guidance as to how the loan would be repaid and how do they go about mitigating the loan payment, how do we improve upon the businesses. Or a sellout strategy, the most easiest strategy that comes around it. Captive company strategy is a bit difficult, definitely yes. When things are going wrong, it requires a lot of convictions to make it turn around. Seller strategy is becoming very easy way out, in which the management can still obtain a good price, probably for its shareholders and employees, by just selling the company to somebody worthy of it. So this will ensure that all their shareholders are happy, all their employees are happy, if that is an option available. And then there's a divestment. Now, divestment is a different by sellout strategy. Now, sellout is a complete sellout of the company. Remember, complete sellout of the company. But in divestment strategy is the part sellout of the company. There might be part sellout. Not the whole company has been sold, or not the whole company is profitable or attractive to the new purchaser. So it's a part sell that comes around it. So sales of a divisions with a low growth profit, probably it theoretically say low growth profit, but who's going to purchase it? In fact, what happens is sale of the division which is most highly potentials for profit comes first. So that is what we are looking at it and goes around it. So retrenchment strategies are captive company strategies, sellout strategies, and divestment strategies, as the case might be. Yes, financial reconstruction, I've spoken about it. At the time there is a bankruptcy, company is believed to be have been dumbfounded and probably gives up the whole management of the firm to the courts, to the laws of the land, in return for a settlement of the corporate obligations. If there are any obligations that comes around it, a lot of liabilities being accrued upon it. How do we go around it? The liquidation state, management terminates the firms altogether. And this is what we are looking forward to it. This is what the liquidation stage would be. Then is the portfolio analysis. Now, this is the portfolio analysis where the management of the company is looking at the product lines and the service factors that comes around it with a series of investment, which it can probably expect a profitable return as the case might be. This is what we are looking out here. So BCG matrix is Boston Consulting Growth Matrix. We have the cash cow where we don't have to do anything because the market growth rate is very low, but your market share is very high. Growth rate is low, definitely, but you are dominant already. You are almost monopolistic, but the market growth rate is now probably low. It is generating enough cash. But then what happens when the market share is your low, is very low, probably a new entrant to the market, maybe best case scenario, or you are in a declining stage of the market altogether because market growth rate is also low and your share is also low. So this is either case. But what happens when the market share is very high and the growth is also high? That means this is a wonderful business to be in, the ideal business around here. Absolutely ideal business because everything is going gung ho for you. The market growth is very high, your share is very high, you are in a dominant position. And then what happens when their market growth rate is very low? Probably along with it, the share prices, the growth rates are also very high. So what happens? So your market share is very new altogether. You are very new or again very old on a declining stage. Growth rate is high, but you are not doing very good. So things are going against you. It's a very big question mark. Should you be in that business? Should you be not? And that is what the BCG matrix would be telling it to you. Question mark is a new product with potential for success, but needs extra dollops of cash, dollars for development. Now, where do you want to can bring those things? Stars, market leaders that are typically at or nearing the peak of the product life cycle, and are able to generate enough cash to maintain their high share of the market and usually contribute to the company's profit. This is what we are looking forward to it. This is what has been done exactly now and then. Then there's a BCG matrix is cash cows, product that bring in far more money than is required, probably or been maintained in their market share. Dogs, product with low market share and do not have the potential to bring in much of the cash. This is what we are looking for. Absolutely, product with low market share and do not have the potential to bring in the much cash that comes around it. This is exactly what we should be figuring it out as a BCG matrix is concerned. So use of highs and lows to form categories is too simplistic. The limitation, the criticism, whatever you go going around it. How do I define what is a question mark and how do I define what is a dog? How do I define the dog doesn't become a question mark or dog cannot become a star for that matter or question mark cannot become a star for that matter or the star cannot become a cash cow for that matter because you might not be, you might say, "Yeah, I'm okay, relaxed, I'm dominant, I don't do it, market share is good," but eventually the market share might deplete probably or the market growth rate might deplete altogether. So that is what he needs to be understanding. Links between market share and profitability is definitely questionable. Absolutely. Growth rate is one aspect of the industry attractiveness. And remember, it's only one aspect. There can be different things that comes around it. product line or business units are considered only in relation to the competitor. Market share is only one aspect of overall competitive position. Remember, it's your brand name that counts, it's your viability, it's your tradition, it's your is the lineages, is the legacy that the company has been built around it. You have to take into consideration of every concept around here. So advantages of portfolio analysis is what we talk about in terms of setting objectives and allocating resources. Yes, this is how we go across it. Stimulate the use of external oriented data to supplement management's judgment. Raise the issues of cash flow availability to use expansion and growth as the case might be. Cash flow availability is what we are looking as far as expansion and growth is concerned. Advantages and limitations of portfolio. Defining product market segment is difficult. Very true. This is debatable because people might say the market shares and product shares are different based on the interpretation that comes around it. Suggest the standards strategy, absolutely, that can miss opportunities or impractical. Value lead in terms such as cash flow, docs can lead to a self-fulfilling proficiency, lack of clarity on what makes an industry attractive or where a product is in its life cycle. This is what we are looking at it. Where is it making the most of it as far as life cycle is concerned? So take necessary for managing a strategic portfolio. Developing and implementing a portfolio strategy for each businesses and corporate policy for managing all the alliances of the entire company as the case might be. Now you need to go around it and people might often miss one or the two products. Monitoring the alliance portfolio in terms of implementing business, use strategies, corporate strategies and policies as the case might be. Monitoring the alliance portfolio in terms, yes, truly, very truly, the unit strategies, the business strategies, the corporate strategies, and the policy that comes around every now and then. Coordinate the portfolio to obtain synergies and avoid conflict among alliances. Now, this is where you need to understand as far as the portfolios. What happens is in product A, let's say a portfolio might have three products: product A, product B, and product C. Product A is the alpha product, is doing the largest business. Product C, on the other hand, might not be doing very well. But it is only a time frame that product C is not doing very well. It has immense potential. Now, how do we go around it? What do you do? Case scenario, product B might be in the same segment as product A and product C is concerned. Same segment, when I say, is in the same audience, or should I say clients or the customers profile they may be looking at, or should I say they might be using product B might be utilizing the same resources that product A or product C has been encapsulating it. So there are differences, there are divergences, there are synergies, there are things that needs to be worked around it. So take necessary as a managing for strategic alliance portfolio. Remember, people, products, opportunities should be mitigated, should be capitalized, and should work together in establishing a brand of the company in the longest run. So this is what corporate parenting does it. It views the corporation in terms of resources, in terms of the capabilities that can be utilized to build business, that can be utilized to build value, that can be utilized to build perception, that can be utilized to build brand name. In short, generate synergies among business units, and it is the corporate parenting act which can actually let you do. I've given you an example of product A, B, and C. One been doing stupendously. One is utilizing the resources of both A and C. One is a new entry into the product, probably, but has got immense potential. And this is what corporate parenting will be helping it to you. So it generates corporate strategies by focusing on the core competencies and the value that it creates. Probably thereby builds up a relationship between the parents and its businesses, as the case might be. So developing corporate parenting strategies, examine each business in terms of strategic factors, examine each business unit in terms of areas in which performance can be improved, analyze how well the parent corporation fit with the business unit as the case might be. This is what we are looking into it. Absolutely well done out here and nothing else that goes around. So horizontal strategies is multi-point competitions, cuts across the business units, build boundaries to build up a strategies across business units to improve the competitive position in one or more of the business. That is what we come across it. So horizontal is approximately everything. The synergies that you build in a business units and improve position in other business unit. So if I have given you an example of location A, location B, and location C being one of the same product that we are going working upon it, and probably we are going into the new location with the same product, can we have those synergies been built around it? What has clicked in location A will be actually been working in location B, probably, most probably. If not, can we tweak it to the requirement of location B? And so on and so forth in location C also. So it cuts across the business boundaries to build synergies. Definitely, yes. In terms of product A, B, and C that we have already sold around it. Last but not the least is the multi-point competition. Remember, we are in a business in which we actually compete with other businesses. Now, these other businesses can be in a bigger organization, can be a smaller organization, or can be an organization of the similar size as like us. So it's better if we can always have eggs in different baskets. So if things are going wrong in one of those products, one of the businesses, it can be mitigated by the success of the other products and things like that. And that is what multi-point competition is all about it. With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video.